What's going on, fellas? Welcome everybody. Hey, we're gonna get into one of our games of the week. Is Colorado at home taking on K-State. K-State's coming in as the 18th ranked team in the country. This is a 10:15 p.m. Eastern time game. This is it's a late game. Kansas State is right now a 4.5 point favorite. This is an interesting game to me because I think this is matching up to be, y'all remember last season the night game Colorado had where all the celebrities showed up to it. I mean, the sideline was just filled, everybody from T.O. to Shannon to um not Skip Stephen A, you know, everybody was at this game. I think this is another one of those games. Um to me, the biggest question coming into this game, and I don't know if people realize, I've heard a couple people mention it, and we've mentioned it also, is that Colorado has a legit path to maybe make it to the college football playoff. It's crazy to think about, but they legit have a path. Because if you're able to win this football game, the next tough, quote unquote, or ranked matchup you have is Utah down the road. And nobody knows what Utah ever looks like at the end of a season. You've got this game, and you got to go to Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. All of those games are winnable games. You've had your one loss against Nebraska that was at Nebraska. I just think that was another type of monster mentally and physically than they were prepared for in that game. This game, I think, more so honestly falls into their favor. Um, it's going to be a quarterback duel. You've got Avery Johnson against Shador. They're coming off of their blowout win at UCF, so now they're coming back home. Um, the crowd, I think, is going to be absolutely insane. Now, the problem with this is that we've seen Colorado have night games going into last season where they fall on their face. It was another one that we watched last season when they took on Stanford and they got out to a 20, I think it was 28-point lead. Stanford comes roaring back and beats them in, I don't know if it was an overtime game or not that they lost that game. But albeit, don't let this be one of those moments. And I think they've learned from it where, hey, if you get this large lead in a football game, you got to learn how to keep it also. But I think they're hitting a nice little stride and they're sitting in a nice little bubble. Colorado is where they've kind of figured out what they want to do offensively, and their defense is doing just enough to win football games right now by giving their offense a chance. Um, I am actually, and going into this, I'm taking Colorado, and I think it has a lot more to do not so much with play styles of either team, but I don't think Kansas State. If you look at who Kansas State has played, they haven't really played anybody. You've got UTM, Tulane, Arizona, BYU, Oklahoma State. They're the atmosphere and the crowd and the overwhelming magnitude of this game is going to affect them, I feel like, way more than it is Colorado. They have to get over that mental hurdle in this football game. And I, per se, don't think they can do it. I think they take this loss. I think Colorado gets their big win, and the road is paved in front of you after this week to say, hey, this Colorado Buffaloes team has a legit and very, very to be taken serious if they don't trip up on their own feet path to the college football playoff. And that's an interesting statement to say right now. But I got Colorado upsetting K-State and winning this football game.
So the way this game is setting up in my eyes is kind of making it feel like the rankings should be flip-flop. Like
Yes.
to me, it doesn't feel like Colorado is the real underdog in this game. It feels like Kansas State has to prove themselves versus Colorado. And I just think that is a scary thought process in this game and why it's so important. So to me, well, the way I'm looking at this game is, can Kansas State actually be who everybody thinks they are going to be? So I think one of the things, Van, that stands out to me as a game from last year is TCU versus Colorado.
Yes,
I
it
think that
looks
game
feels
right
like
there
it.
was kind of like set up in the aspects of like everybody just assumes that Dion and Colorado Buffaloes are just gonna roll over and just take it just because they're not ready for these moments type yet. And I think that's far from the case. If you haven't been paying attention, Dion, I don't think that you really understand how good his team has gotten over from last year. I think they have a lot of things improved, but I think when you really think about what this team is from Colorado, they are a team that just has found their identity. And I think that is such a huge point in a football team because when things are against the ropes, when you are back against the wall, who are you really going to be? And I think last year, which is why we saw some of these games go up and down for Colorado, one big win here, one L you shouldn't take there. I think that's because they never really knew who they were when backs against the wall. And I think they got that identity now. So what I think this game is going to be, I think Colorado's going to come out too efficient for Kansas State to really be matching up against. So I think there is going to be a fall that's going to happen for Kansas State early in this game. Now, can they bounce back? I don't know. And the only reason I say I don't know is because I don't know enough about Kansas State. Now, I know their quarterback and Avery Johnson is somebody who's been tested before. I know he's not new to these type of games and big time moments, and he has the talent and the poise to really take advantage of the Colorado team, but their defense is so much improved. I think if they get pressure on Kansas State, that's going to be the end of the game. I think that is the biggest thing for Colorado is saying in this atmosphere, the biggest thing we can do is just ride that wave. So let's create wave momentum plays, like trying to jump picks with Travis Hunter, like having one-on-one opportunities on offense with Shador and Travis Hunter. And I think they wide receiver room with the three-headed monster they have is just going to be too much for a secondary for Kansas State. So I think if they can keep a clean pocket for Shador, he's going to eat 300 yards plus on this team, 3 to 4 touchdowns on this team. And I don't think it's going to be something that Kansas State can really stop. I think it's going to be Kansas State offense versus Colorado's offense, and who can score more, who can start the game off more efficient. I also think that if the game goes vice versa, is not set up for Kansas State to really beat that. Because I think if they go up big on Colorado early to going maybe three-score lead, 17 points to 0, something like that, or 24 points to 7, something like that, I think it's set up for Colorado to come roaring back into it just because it's one of those games and it's at a time where people are just going to be prime time Colorado and prime time Kansas State. And I think Dion and his team is ready for these type of moments when the lights are the brightest. For some reason, that's when they show up this season. I think that's when they've kind of been showing consistently since that Nebraska game. And I don't think it's going to be anything to falter right here. So I got actually Shador and them winning this game, but I really don't think that it's going to be as a close game as a lot of people think it's going to be. I think one team can roar back, but I don't think they're going to have enough to overtake it. But I think really when you think of this game, Colorado should be the number 18 team and Kansas State shouldn't be ranked. That's how I feel this game should be. So Colorado, all eyes are on you Saturday night. And please, please do not disappoint. Because I promise you, if you disappoint in this game right here, the way people are going to talk about you for the rest of this season is going to be something that where I think all the egos down in Colorado can't handle it. So I think it's kind of you can fall off the rail off of this game if things don't go your way because you're gonna have a lot of questions to answer against a team like Kansas State if you can or cannot beat them. But if you do beat them, like I believe you will, everything like Van said is in front of you. The college football playoffs is actually going to be something that I think you can take advantage of and get to. And I think that's something I want college football to experience, this team in the playoffs. So let's see what you got to say about it, Sean. I got Colorado winning by at least a touchdown, maybe two. But to me, it's going to be something that Kansas State, I think, is going to be a shocker for a lot of their players on that field Saturday night.
Man, the fact that Dion has Colorado in position, it's early, but to make a college football playoff run, I think is just sick. I think it's just sick in the best way possible. So I'm kind of wondering, okay, what is his messaging to his team? Because usually most coaches, let's say a Nick Saban or just old school coaches, we talk about the next game, right? This is the most important game in front of us. Is our next opponent, right? This is kind of how we do it. But Dion is the kind of guy that maybe letting his locker room know early that, hey, we got a chance to do something special here. And he may actually quantify that, whether it's on the bulletin board or verbally. Hey, we can get to the playoff. The one thing that Dion does such a good job of is getting his players to understand the gravity of the moment. And this moment Saturday night is he's gonna be the only show on TV. It's a late game. You know what I'm saying? You're at home. You're right. The celebs are probably gonna be there. This is a pivotal moment. You beat a ranked team, you will be ranked. From that point, like you said, Van, you got the now number 16 team in Arizona who could very well not be that. They could be better. You whoop them a little later in the season, you've got one conference loss already. I think you can stomach another one if you can win your conference and still get there. I think it's a legitimate goal for this team, and I think they can actually do it. Now, K-State, Avery Johnson is legit. He is legit. He does things. I've watched him play. He does things that most college quarterbacks just can't do off script. You know what I'm saying? He's just that guy. Whether he has a supporting cast to come into Boulder and make it happen with all the lights that you're going to actually see, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I'm with you, Drew. I think that it should be flip-flop. Colorado should be the ranked team that's favored by 4 points as opposed to Kansas State. I'm not going to sit up here and say it's going to take a miracle for Kansas State to win this game. They have a miracle maker in their quarterback, so it is possible. But I think Dion is going to motivate his team with the lights, with the TV cameras. Hey, y'all got a chance to show. This is what Dion does. This game is set up for Dion to be the best version of himself as a flamboyant, honest coach. And that's what it's going to be, man. I got Colorado actually running away with this game. I think Travis Hunter is going to be too much, to be honest with you. I think Shadur is going to have a good game. I think the Avery Johnson is going to probably end up winning the quarterback duel in regards to passing yards, rushing, and this, and that, or whatever. But it doesn't matter. I think Dion's going to have his team playing team ball at home with all the marbles at stake. I think Dion wins this game by 13, 17 points, man. I got Colorado relatively easy, 31-13, 31-20, somewhere in that ballpark. But it's going to be a 2-score win for Colorado. My book.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we'll see how it turns out. It's going to be a late one. So that's going to be more of like a 1 o'clock, 12:45 type of ball game where you sitting there and get your cup of coffee already. The alcohol's kind of dried up by the end, but you got to stay up and watch it because it's going to keep your attention. You want to see how it ends. But,
I might have to be a early Sunday morning type rewatch type guy. Look, with the slate we got this weekend, man, I promise you, I'm up at the crack of dawn starting my Saturday off right this week. And I think it's going to be something that I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to early Sunday morning from the time I start Saturday morning. So, Colorado, I need y'all to keep me entertained because when I think of the other late night game versus Hawaii and who else ever it is, I ain't watching that one at all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they got another late night game that's going to be later than this one. And I'm like, these two together, we got one that's prime time and one that's no time. So I got to focus on the one that's important.
That's right.
I got you. Well, hey, thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, go check out our SEC picks for this week. They should be up before this one, so you go from this to check that out, or you coming from that to check this out. Whichever one. Hey, we love and appreciate y'all being here. Leave a comment. We love to hear the discussion with y'all. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, get the bell notification. We'll see y'all next week.